I'll stop my share here in just a minute. Okay, today's presenter is Stephen Kaufman. Stephen is an instructional designer at the University of Akron. Prior to joining UA, Steve served as the Associate Director of Online Learning at Ashland University. Currently, he serves as one of the Ohio QM Consortium state leads and is the chair of their executive committee. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, thank you, Nancy.
We also have Chuck Piscitello, and joining us soon will be Jennifer Davis, and they'll be helping out with the questions today.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you to Chuck and Jenny, and thank you, Rico, Elisa, and Nancy for the invitation to come present about this little thing, this little disruptor thing called AI. What is it? What are we going to do with it? Let's talk about it today. Give me a second here. I'm going to cue this up for you, and let me go share. We've got some sound going on, so we'll do a little testing here. And PowerPoint share. Okay, give me a second here. We'll go full screen with that. I can see your smiling faces, which is great. I'm also going to open up the chat just so I have that on the side and I can kind of see what you guys are saying over in the chat. Do feel free to ask questions as we go along today. We may not get to all of them, but you'll have my contact information at the very end, so I'm happy to connect with you after this is over and answer any other questions that you might have. So what are we going to talk about today? Let's get into it. First off, I want to do a little bit of where are you from? This is an interactive poll. If you would just let me know, hey, where in the world are you? You should be able to go to a QR code that is in the corner of the screen. I can actually make that a little bigger. Whoop, there it is. And you can scan that with your phone and drop a pin. You can actually zoom in, pinch and zoom on the map on your phone, and then it should allow you to drop a pin live on where you are. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. I've never done this with 1,000 people before. Can you share your URL? It's just pollev.com/skaufman. But there should be. Chuck, is the QR code on the screen? Can they see that?
I don't see the QR code.
In the top right?
I don't either. No.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that's hold on. Let's go to, well, you know what? I saw a lot of messages in the chat of where people were, so we'll go with that. Sometimes that doesn't work, but let's try this. Is this working on your screen? There we go. That's one's working. Let's go with that one. So I'd like to know just who's in the audience in terms of what kind of role are you in? Are you in the other category? Are you an administrator, faculty member, or solely an instructional designer? It doesn't matter if you're on the academic side, the corporate side. Just like to kind of get a context and contextualize this thing for you a little bit. Oh, and hi, Jenny. I see you popped in there. Good to see you. Great. Good to see you.
It's pollev/what, Steve?
pollev.com/skaufman, SKAUFMAN. Yeah, it should show you the QR code in the upper right. So I'm sorry if that, for whatever reason, is not showing on your side. But it looks like a bunch of people hopped in. But I just like to, so it looks like the overwhelming majority are instructional designers, which is great because you're my people. I love this. And no disrespect to anyone else in any other role, but IDs are the ones that I'm trying to influence here on how you decide to do your consultations with faculty members moving forward in this ever-changing nonstop blitz that we call AI and large language models and all these crazy things. Okay, let's keep it going. So, I'd like to know if you would want to also collaborate. If you look at this address, Chuck, if you'd put this in the chat for me, if you go to bit.ly/AI-empowered-ID, we can collectively take notes here. So if you have a really good use case for a particular model that you've done or an idea for an assignment, I would love for all of you to have a takeaway at the very end. I pre-populated the Google Doc with just a couple cool things. I have no idea how many people can be in a Google Doc at one time, but hey, we'll try it and we'll just see what happens. If you're an instructional designer, sometimes we just roll with it, right? Okay, so how many of you would agree with this sentiment? This is the most exciting and simultaneously anxious time to work in education. How many of you would be like, yeah, I am pins and needles. I can't sleep. I'm worried about my job, all these things. Lots of thumbs up, lots of hearts. Totally resonate with that, right? And it's understandable. It's this like nonstop blitz of information. Faculty members are worried. They want to know about policy. They want directions from administrators. Do administrators get it? What's going to happen in my classroom? Are my students just going to cheat their way through college? Is the college essay dead? You've seen every headline out there, right? Did you hear just in the last 2 weeks, this little thing called DeepSeek that just came out and like blew up the tech stocks? And it went through and, it's for those of you unaware, it's a Chinese company that has come out and created an alternative model that can do almost everything that OpenAI can do, which is interpretive analytics and predictive analytics, which a lot of the other models can't do as large language models. And so this has sent stocks really kind of in a free fall. And so the reason why this has been such a disruptor and why faculty members might be asking you about this is because generally it takes about $40 million to train the next iteration of a model. And this came out and it's been reported that DeepSeek has been able to do this for $6 million and then made it free for everybody. So a huge, huge disruptor. And you'll hear more and more about it. It's #1 on the app stores right now. So it's important to really look up what it can do, possibly install it. I'm always a little leery of the new model, so just be careful. Word of caution on there. Don't put in proprietary information that could get you in trouble if you are not supposed to share that kind of information with outside sources outside of your institution or your organization. My #1 rule: don't get fired. Okay, I was browsing NBC Live the other night and I saw, oh, OpenAI partners with U.S. national laboratories on research. That's cool. Oh, and nuclear weapons security. Guys, we've seen how this movie plays out. We know how this ends, right? There are just some lines you do not cross. And we don't want to have a Terminator on our hands. Now, something as I was doing some research preparing for the presentation, I came across this little factoid. 1/4 of Google code is now AI generated. And I want to pause on that statement for a second, because if you really think about what that means, obviously the most popular search engine in the world from one of the largest tech companies in the world, it's really something that 25% of the Google code isn't done by a human being anymore. They go on to say, Rohan Paul, founder of Rohan Bytes, and he does a lot of blogging about this information, noted that Google laid off its entire Python team last year. This was right before the QM conference that we had. And he made a very profound statement saying that I think that the next 10 years is the last period where any human will write any code. And initially that's kind of jarring, right? I might see a statement like that and say, pretty unlikely. I don't know about that. But I mean, I look at my own instructional design practice, and I know that if I can't get something to align properly on a page that I'm designing, whether it be something I'm doing within my learning management system or something that I'm coding outside, if I can't figure it out, am I copying and pasting the code into ChatGPT saying, I need the image to just be centered and I can't find the right div tag that's making it work? Of course, it's going to spit out the correct code. I copy paste it in and I'm done, and I don't have to be a coder to do it. So it's not all that surprising to see that, but it's gut-wrenching for everyone who works in that industry. And obviously, as instructional designers, we know that we're on deck because that's a little bit of our skill set, right? You probably saw this just in the last week, right? Oh my gosh, it feels like it's been 10 years already, guys. It feels like it's been 10 years. But Zuckerberg said that AI will replace all the mid-level engineers, saying that, hey, this could probably all be farmed out. And that's really scary. So what can we do? How do we stay ahead of this curve? And how do we say, there's a lot of disruption as technologies tend to be when new things come around. But the thing I want to impress upon you is that I think from my perspective as an instructional designer, I feel like this. Like I'll say that AI has made instructional design really exciting again. I feel like a Super Saiyan. Any Dragon Ball Z fans out there? I feel like AI forces me to level up my skill set, or maybe you feel the same way. Think about all the small ID teams out there, all the one-person shops. Can I get an amen on that? Or how many of you on the call today you are the person at your institution? You are the learning management administrator. You're the instructional designer. You're the ed tech specialist. You might also fix printers, help troubleshoot Wi-Fi, and you're probably also the faculty member therapist. And I just hear all the stuff like, oh, you won't believe what's going on in my department. You wear a lot of hats, right? So you wind up being the de facto person that has to have answers for all these AI things. But for all that stress, I think what you'll hopefully take away from today is that you'll get some positive possibilities that can emerge and when we embrace what AI can do. So I had this little tweet that went out that Matt Miller sent, right? We've seen disruption before, right? Calculators did not put math and economics and statistics faculty members out of a job. A search engine just opened up the doors to the world. Google Translate opened up even more doors for bilingual kind of things. They disrupt teaching, right? But we don't want to necessarily block them. I'm not a fan of institutional policy saying no AI ever. I think that's very short-sighted. So how do we make education more relevant and approachable in a way that gets students to be more information literate, right? I think we could all benefit as a society if we can spot the misinformation quickly and dispel it, know how to fact check, and know when AI is putting out a fake video or a fake image. What can we do? So here's a positive spin. Nathaniel Whitmore, he does a really great podcast called the AI Daily Brief. Look him up. It's really cool if you listen to some of his podcasts. But he talks about how it's an opportunity creation technology. You're doing more with the same, or much, much more with just a little more, right? In my department, we just buy a ChatGPT license for $20 a month, and we share it amongst our colleagues, and it's great. It helps us to do iterations on courses. It helps us to upskill whenever we're trying to scale learning objectives, those kinds of things. And that's all we really need is just a guide on the side. So it's helping people create more with just the help of AI. And I really like that quote. I feel like it really kind of speaks to what it is we're trying to do with it. It's very easy to be overwhelmed, right? There's a never ending amount of apps out there. These are just the apps just to build another AI agent, to AI to build another AI. And then you've got coding and productivity and customer service and digital workers and personal assistants and data analysis, content creation, workflow, and of course, research. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. There's just too many things to know. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That's my huge hype up. Hopefully I deliver for you. But obviously ask questions as we go. So, but first, you may not have seen this before. Maybe you have. But if you haven't, I have a co-presenter today. So I wanted to introduce them into my presentation. So here we go.
Ah, that's really nice of you to say. Thanks, Steve. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, everybody, this is Ember, my personal assistant, right off the desktop of my computer.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you.
It's okay. Don't feel scared. You can say hi to Ember. It's okay. Isn't that kind of cool? All right. So now I was thinking about what I could show you in regards to AI. And I know you've seen large language models and create measurable learning objectives, and that gets a lot of oohs and ahs. Yeah, the first couple times you see it. And then you're thinking, all right, what else you got? I know you can do prompting. Yay. Okay. But I want to go deeper. Remember the first time you came up with like this really cool novel way? This is like pre-AI, pre-COVID, all that kind of stuff. And you were iterating on this with a faculty member in your class, and you weren't sure if it was going to work. Maybe you're just rolling out Padlet, or you're just rolling out some other cool, LMSy tool, whatever it is, and it went great. You're like, oh my gosh, that surpassed my expectations. The course evaluations came back, and you felt like you had broken through this invisible wall of understanding, maybe like Professor Keating in Dead Poet Society, right?
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Ah, thank you, Ember. My comic relief. So let's address the elephant in the room. I want to capture this for posterity here. Let's be honest. What are some of the hesitations around AI that your colleagues have expressed to you, or maybe some of your own? Cheating. Yes, I imagine a lot of you will say, yep, that's the biggie. Yeah, ethical code of conduct when it comes to AI. How does, what is plagiarism these days? Losing intellectual property, certainly. They say that the reason why DeepSeek was able to build a model so quickly that was equivalent to OpenAI is because they stole everything OpenAI did. But here's the question. Do we feel sorry for OpenAI because did they take a lot of stuff off of just public crawling the internet and maybe your research? It's hard to be sympathetic, right? So cheating, ethical concerns, how it will obviously affect the economy, taking jobs away from people, feeling replaced. Yeah, there could be a higher barrier to entry there. There's equity issues here. Not everybody has a whiz-bang smartphone in their pocket where they can do all this stuff, or a paid subscription to a large language model. Yeah, losing my job, bias, copyright. Students won't think on their own, right? I think of the ability to summarize information kind of like the modern day Cliff Notes, right? If you were caught using Cliff Notes back in my day, you would be in trouble. Like, you're not supposed to read the Cliff Notes of a particular book, right? And really only the way to ascertain that is really to write a good assessment. And so I've seen TikTok video after TikTok video of faculty members yelling at students in class about using something to summarize notes. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Protecting student privacy. I'm glad somebody said that. Intellectual property. Okay. So I think we're all kind of in alignment. A lot of you are probably nodding your heads like, yep, I totally get that. Absolutely. All right, so those are really great insights. So Ember, I think we can take some of that feedback and dive into some different ways to solve some of these challenging problems in the classroom.
Sounds good to me. May I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
You said that using a large language model like me could intimidate faculty. In what ways do you think we could overcome that intimidation?
Oh gosh, that is the question in it. I think that's what we're going to see if we can figure this out together. Okay, so here are a bunch of ideas on how to incorporate AI into your teaching practice and ID practice and things that you can recommend today in a consultation. First one, notebook.lm. I know a lot of you have probably heard of it already, which is great if you're already using it. If you haven't, this is a Google platform. It's free, which is fantastic to use. And essentially what this does is it's an AI-powered tool developed by Google that enhances note-taking and research. So when I say Cliff Notes, yeah, that's kind of what it's generating. It does really great summaries. It can be a study tool to help answer questions, make connections between concepts within a user's uploaded documents, and you get to control what it ingests. So I can drop a PDF or two, spreadsheet or a presentation and say, help me figure out like what are the high level points that I need to ascertain out of this. So it's designed to be like a personal research assistant and streamlines the process of extracting that information. And you can do some really cool stuff with this. So this is what it looks like. I won't do a live demo of it, but any of you could sign up for an account today. It's free for now. And what I did was I just uploaded the QM rubric, the one-page PDF off of National's website. So publicly facing, didn't grab anything from internal to the website or anything. This is just what's publicly available. And what you can do with this, and I'll show you an example of it here in a minute, is that I had it summarize the rubric for me. You can do intelligent querying, like take this document and ask it questions, put it on trial, so to speak. It's really great at making connections between different concepts. You can customize the output. Do you want this as a series of notes? Do you want this as a podcast? The podcast feature is probably the most well-known feature of this, which is really exciting. There's integration and accessibility features that come into this. So think about some of those other heavy lifting things that something like this can do. So you'll see there's my sources on the left-hand side of the screen. Here's what it gave me in the middle, and then I can add my own notes to this and use it as my study guide. I can tell it to generate the podcast in the upper right, do a briefing doc, a timeline if there's dates in there. It's very, very cool. I made this in 2 minutes. I just want to play a little clip so you can hear the quality that it puts out.
Ever signed up for one of those online courses?
Yeah.
You're super psyched to learn something new.
Yeah.
And then you get in there and it's just like a jumble of like files and deadlines and discussion forums that nobody's using.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
We've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Who
is it just
hasn't been
me,
there?
or
Right.
what if there was a better way? What if there was like a blueprint for designing online courses that are actually, not just effective, but enjoyable?
Right. Because you want to actually finish the course.
Exactly.
And feel like you learned something. Well, that's where this thing we're talking about today comes in. Quality matters, or QM.
QM. Okay.
Yeah, think of it kind of like the secret code
Okay.
to unlock those aha moments in online learning. And here's the thing, it's not just for academics, right?
Right.
These principles we're talking about, they apply to anything, like workplace training.
So interesting. Master.
Yeah, so I don't have to play the whole 12-minute podcast for you. And I see in the chat there are people that don't like this, and that's totally fine. I respect that. If I were in the English department, I would be really worried about this. Because how do I get my students to actually read these important literary works that we need to understand? If you're in history, this might be a little difficult to stomach because I want the students to read the primary sources. But we have to think about this in the context of what it can produce, and then what are we asking the students to do with what it produces? Do we want them to share this in a discussion? Do we want them to pick it apart, identify hallucinations, track down the sources of where these came from, or is it completely bogus? Remember, underlying all these kinds of things using AI is also training students about information literacy, which is sorely lacking. And so there's always that little bit of a bend I feel like you can put on that. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right? Here's a nice thought experiment. If you don't want to use this in a classroom context, think about it this way. Have your students put their resume into NotebookLM and have it generate a podcast about themselves. I did this for myself. And for those of you that know me personally, you know that I do photography, and I've been doing it for almost 20 years. And it's just like, it's a footnote in my Vita, right? It's just like, oh yeah, I also do a photography thing. And the podcast came out and said, I think it's really interesting that Steve also has this little photography experience here, which means, he has this entrepreneurial spirit. And it's something, we always have to acknowledge that your career path isn't always a linear one. I would have never been able to come up with that phrasing that if I was interviewing for another job, that my career path has not been a linear path. It's been a little bit of all these different things. But I think it's a valid point to make, and Notebook helped me discover that. It's not going to diss your student, which is nice. It's always this positive, upbeat kind of podcast kind of thing, but a very powerful tool. Pro tip, they have a free Discord where you can ask questions of the developer teams directly, find out what the new features are, and then they have a lot of beta stuff that they say, hey, we're trying this out. Can everyone hop in and check this out? It's kind of neat to see what's kind of the next big feature that they're rolling out. And there's a lot of debate on here under use cases and the ethical concerns. So something to think about if you want to investigate that. The other one I want to show you, or one of the many, I guess, is Chatbot Arena. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It's just LM Arena, or languagemodelarena.ai. And the reason why I like this tool is that you can take multiple models, okay? And you can compare them to each other in real time, right? So think, maybe you signed up for Gemini or Claude or no, are we using Grok? We're not using Grok, come on. And then, or ChatGPT or whatever. And it stacks them side by side, okay? The APIs are behind the scenes, and you can choose from a drop-down menu, and you can ask it a prompt. So you can ask any question and see the quality of the response that comes out. So you can chat for multiple turns until you identify like which model is better. You actually vote like, yep, Claude was better on this one. OpenAI was better on this one. Gemini was better on this one. And you can make an assignment around grade the quality of the AI and then and kind of disseminate the information that way. Tim Marshall, one of my colleagues at Baldwin Wallace, said it this way. He said, use a very basic prompt to have generative AI produce an article with statistics and data. Have the students actually fact check that content, and they'll find the outdated information. Absolutely, they'll find the outdated or not accurate information. They'll learn about hallucinations in real time, so they'll see firsthand some of the red flags that you're warning them about as a faculty member. So it's a great way to like prove to them like it cannot be trusted 100%. Absolutely not. You have to do your due diligence. So think about how you could possibly use it that way. And it literally looks like this. You just choose from the drop-down menu. I asked it, tell me about quality matters. And it would just go through, process for a couple of seconds, and then Claude went fast. It just like right down to the bottom. I find Claude to be very conversational, which is kind of cool. And GPT gave me a little bit more, like, I feel like it was like a text scrape from the website. So for what it's worth, the Chatbot Arena, I think, is really fun. So check that out. The links to these things are in the Google Doc that I had at the beginning, and the link to that will also be in the chat at the very end. Okay. The other one I want to show you about is Synthesia. Synthesia is a video editing platform, okay? You can turn text to video within minutes. Create studio quality videos with AI avatars, voiceovers with 140 different languages. There's an AI video assistant. You can prompt directly within the timeline, guys, of the video, and upload documents that you wanted to consider as it auto-generates something. So it'll pull even appropriate B-roll in. I made this in just a few minutes. I will show you an example. So here's my digital avatar. I can drag the avatar across the screen. I can replace them with someone else. I can change, it's almost like laying out a PowerPoint. The free version gives you, I think, like 10 minutes of free AI generated video. So I use the free model, but it's very affordable. But think about if you have to do quick training and I need to just ramp up something and you don't want to be the person as the designer on video, maybe use a digital avatar. So here's what I did in just a couple of minutes. Again, only uploading the QM one-page PDF off of the website. So here, check this out.
Welcome to this brief overview of Quality Matters standards for online course design. We'll explore how these standards can enhance the quality of your courses and ensure a better learning experience for your learners. The Quality Matters rubric includes specific review standards that guide course design. These standards ensure clarity in course instructions, helping learners understand how to get started and navigate the course effectively. Learning objectives are a crucial part of the Quality Matters standards. They should be measurable, clearly stated, and aligned with course activities and assessments to ensure consistency and clarity for learners. Assessment and measurement standards focus on evaluating learning objectives. They emphasize clear grading policies, diverse assessment types, and timely feedback, all of which support learners in tracking their progress. Instructional materials should align with learning objectives and reflect current theory and practice. Quality Matters standards encourage using a variety of materials to enhance learning and maintain academic integrity. Learning activities and interactions are designed to support active learning. The standards highlight the importance of regular instructor interaction and clearly stated requirements for learner engagement.
Almost done.
Course technology should support learning objectives and promote engagement. Quality Matters standards also emphasize the importance of data privacy and providing learners with necessary technical support and resources. Thank you for exploring the Quality Matters standards with us. By implementing these guidelines, you can enhance the quality and effectiveness of your online courses, ultimately benefiting both you and your learners. For more information, check out qualitymatters.org.
So I was able to go in and edit the script a little bit because I wanted it to actually not say www.qualitymatters.org, just kind of trim things around a little bit. But, maybe half hour worth of work to just produce, a little high production value kind of thing. Again, for a one-person shop, that might be really, really helpful. Just do a little quick teaser to a training video that you're going to do, whatever it happens to be. I saw a comment in the chat. And I'm going to pause here for a second. And Jenny or Chuck, if you have like a question that's come up a lot or a comment that's come up a lot, I want you to let me know about that. But Steve Cavello, I like your comment. You said, we must be very careful about the message we're conveying to students when we don't care enough to use our own selves to communicate and relegate it to an AI. IT suggests to me that they're not worth time. I would never use Synthesia for student communication. Good point. And here's where I feel like there's two sides to this coin. On the one hand, every syllabus needs to have an AI policy moving forward. And if your institution hasn't talked about this amongst your collective bargaining or even amongst your shared governance, it's got to be a conversation that you have immediately, already behind the trend. And you might have a seat at that table to influence that policy. The ethical question you have to ask, I think, is exactly what Steve brought up in the chat, is if you're going to allow students to use AI to facilitate assignments, is it acceptable for a faculty member to use AI to grade an assignment? And I think, Steve, to your point here, we don't want to tell students, hey, you know what, you're not worth my time for me to actually sit and read and analyze your paper and giving you some sort of feedback on that. And I am in that camp of I don't want to use it to do grading for me, which if you're a faculty member and I know you're overworked and you're underpaid, and especially my adjunct, my million adjuncts that we work with, the question I get and the question you probably get is, how can you save me time, Steve? Well, I talk about all the cool, use a rubric, use all the cool LMS features, definitely have the gradebook enabled in your class, those kinds of things. So yeah, I think it has to be a two-part. What are the faculty members communicating to the student as to what I'm going to use AI for? Maybe nothing. And what are the students allowed to do as well? Chuck or Jenny, any other questions that we can quickly chat about?
I want to touch on this. Oh, Jenny, you have one? I'll do one next.
I said the big thing I'm seeing is a lot about copyright and who owns these pieces. And also some things about accessibility of pieces.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is with all the AI generated images that are coming out, AI generated video, having those things professionally captured is definitely a concern. That costs real dollars. Office of Accessibility pretty much everywhere is underfunded. From what I've seen, every institution I've ever worked at, it's always a 1 or 2 person shop, and they just don't have enough budget to make courses 100% accessible, or as close to 100% as you get. And it's the law, right? We need to be good stewards of this. So that's a big one. Copyright, absolutely. You probably saw in the news not too long ago. Well, you've heard about this, the actors' strike that happened in Hollywood. Was it last summer or the summer before, where part of the negotiation was, hey, we want to make sure that a Hollywood studio can't just replace me as an extra and then just copy and paste me. Do they own my likeness forever, essentially? And can they just plot me into all these different movies and have me wear different costumes? And I know I never get any residuals. I never get any money for that. Same question faculty should be asking. I get that question all the time. Like, if I leave the university, Steve, how long can the university use my lectures? Well, the thing that I normally tell faculty members is that generally new faculty that come in don't want to use your lectures because it's a completely different person that's teaching the class. So unless the course is set up in like a master course model, it doesn't really work that well, unless that was the planned intention. Most courses aren't that way, at least at my institution. But that's a good conversation. Maybe that's the next talking point that comes up in a faculty negotiation. It's a good question. Chuck, what was the one you had?
And this, like, I was going to do Jenny's next.
Okay.
But I'm really interested in just the general like AI resistance from faculty. And like I know me speaking personally, like to my institution, we have faculty that are all on board and then faculty that are going the opposite direction in technology, handing out paper and blue books to write in just so they don't use any tech at all. So there's and you know a lot of people fall in the middle.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that I've been encouraging my faculty members to do, like here's the idea on the screen, like have the students create a maybe a free video as a part of a blog post or a website you want them to design or a multimedia project. You can use NotebookLM or Synthesia, cool, and like communication, business, arts programs, those kinds of things. But what I think might also be important to address is that this is our opportunity to really push authentic assessment. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's certainly one thing for a student to be able to summarize notes using Notebook or whatever tool they choose this week. It's a whole nother thing, though, to put them into a timed experience and say, okay, now create for me a video of you talking and explaining that concept back to me. We have this baked into we use Brightspace, Desire to Learn Brightspace at Akron, and we have a video assignments tool. I think it's called Bongo, something like that. It's a weird name. But it basically gives the student the prompt, and then it gives them a couple seconds to think about it, and then it turns on their webcam, and they have to either respond accordingly, and that can be assessed against a rubric. So you really know whether or not they synthesize that information, or if they are just they passed the multiple choice quiz, which isn't a great assessment anyway, but they weren't able to articulate that, right? What's the thing that employers tell us all the time? It's the soft skills, right? I hate that word, soft skills. It's the human skills that they're lacking. How do you communicate that idea clearly? That's the kind of thing that we're trying to get at with authentic assessment. Can they articulate those things? So for what it's worth, I'll get off my soapbox now. Okay, here's another one. I saw this pop up in the chat, so I'm glad whoever said that. Thanks for queuing it up. Your check is in the mail. If you've heard of HeyGen, this is another audio tool, they say, and Cleo Abram does a fantastic YouTube series called Huge If True. It's like positive science stories, but I want to show you a little bit about what she was able to do with HeyGen.
This is me speaking English, the only language that I can speak fluently. और अब ऐसा लग सकता है कि मैं हिंदी बोल रहा हूँ, एक भाषा जिसे मैं पूरी तरह से नहीं बोल सकता. Jetzt spreche ich vielleicht Deutsch, ich spreche auch kein Deutsch. The craziest part about this is that it doesn't just sound like I'm speaking a different language, it looks like it too. Hay algo completamente salvaje y extraordinario. I made this using a new AI video translation tool, and YouTube just launched the feature called Aloud, which lets their creators dub their content automatically into other languages. An interesting difference here is that YouTube won't clone your mouth movement or change your voice. It's going to sound like a different person. Their tool has to let you edit the translation because there are things that just don't translate and it might make mistakes, but they don't know the voice that you're uploading is actually yours. So if they give that power to millions of people, then they could just upload anyone and get them to say anything in another language. But if we get this right, then being able to reach so many more people in any language, that's huge for how we all communicate. Si vous aimez les histoires optimistes de science et de technologie, suivez pour en savoir plus.
Wow. Like, what? That's awesome. Very, very cool. And as we think about how we're developing online programs, we're trying to cast a wider and wider net at our institutions, right? Like we've got the market around Akron. Like, you're going to the University of Akron, but how do I get the students overseas to come to our class? And the language barrier is massive. And things are lost in translation sometimes, right? That you've heard that before. So something to think about. HeyGen is a cool tool. I think a few of you said that you're already kind of using it. Mary says, this is a trip. I'm like, yeah. Here's another interesting.
This is me.
Oh, sorry, that I just found the other day. There's a new tool out called Respeecher. Lucasfilm uses this. I don't know if any of you had watched The Mandalorian. But if you haven't watched The Mandalorian, I will not spoil it for you because it's a very, very cool reveal. But they de-aged someone and then made the voice of that person that they de-aged. I'm not going to name the person. Google it. But they were able to get their voice from all of the original footage from all of the person's career. Here's a case right off of their website. Many of you know the musician Avicii, who had passed away a few years ago, and they wanted to do a case to see, like, could we take a really famous song, the Wake Me Up song that was very popular, it was the earworm of that summer, and broadcast it in different languages. So this is Aloe Black singing his song, not only in English, but Mandarin, Spanish, Italian, and French. I won't play the whole thing, but watch his mouth movement.
我穿过黑暗的道路，却被我心动指引。我见不到旅程的尽头，但是我依旧有自信。别人说我太勉强，不懂我活着在梦里。 Tiempo tratando de encontrar medio está perdido. So wake me up when it's all over.
Isn't that incredible? And his mouth movements are right on. Okay, so Hollywood has figured this out, but this is part of a lot of talent's contracts now. Like, you can use me if you pay me a ridiculous amount of money and you can use me in the future. There's a great AI question to ask your students. Is it ethical to revive a passed away actor or talent or musician? There's a case on the Respeecher website where they took the original footage of Richard Nixon talking about the moon landing, and he had a speech ready if the Apollo 11 mission failed and they were stuck on the moon. And so what they did is they overlaid that speech, and then they trained the AI based off of Richard Nixon's speeches, and they generated a video of him saying the speech, like saying, "Unfortunately, our astronauts are not coming home." So there's an ethical question here, right? You can make anybody say anything, and that's a good question for debate, right? Obviously, we see that's wrong on so many levels. But
hey, Steve.
Yes, go ahead, Chuck.
So, like, if we do recreate something like this in another language, and this is going with someone's question, does copyright fall into that? So if I would take a popular song and make it Spanish.
Oh yeah. yeah. I mean, YouTube's algorithm is very, very good at picking up on things that should not be there. We might get this video flagged right now because we played that clip. But hopefully we're going to claim fair use on this. We're doing analysis here right, everybody. We're all Creative Commons people here. But yeah, it's very interesting to see that. I mean, you've seen AI now be able to restore like World War II footage and turn it from black and white to color, and it makes it feel more real and relatable when I see my grandparents in full color, just living their normal lives, right? There's always this distance when things are in black and white. It doesn't feel that way, but there's a million videos like that online that you can check out. So I just wanted to show you a little bit on the media front of like what's been happening. Okay, so now we got to talk about the other thing. ChatGPT. You know about ChatGPT, right? What does it do? You know what it does. I don't have to tell you about this. Been there, done that, right? But so here's some ideas of what you can do with ChatGPT from an assignments perspective, okay? You can write your own custom GPTs, and you can do this if you have a paid account. It's like $20 a month. You don't have to have it for very long, maybe just long enough to write your GPT, and then you can keep it in the future. But you can do personalized writing assistance. I'll show some examples of how we do that at Akron. So an instructor could write a custom GPT. It's a little wizard that you have on the website. For any of you that have done it, you know how easy it is. You can train it by uploading what the stipulations are for an assignment or particular elements that you want them. Maybe it's your rubric that you're going to use to assess, and you want the students to get some coaching on the side on how to do that. So it can suggest revisions to you and guide students on how to improve their writing. I like to ask my students, if you're going to use an AI model, I want you to show me your prompt, and I want you to show me the iterations. How many iterations did it take? Highlight it for me. Let me know. It might seem like I don't want it to be the thing that we don't talk about in the room. But I want them to acknowledge for them that I understand that it's out there and that they might use it. But if you're going to use it, you need to be honest with me. So you could use it certainly as an interactive study companion for courses that require heavy memorization, like first year, second year, we're lower order Bloom's taxonomy kind of stuff. I just need flashcards. Quiz me, quiz me, quiz me, and keep telling the GPT, ask me the question again until I get it right. So very similar to Quizlet, right? We have those games and gamified types of experience that get created anyway. It could be a classroom discussion enhancer. You could employ a GPT trained on particular materials that you upload. Maybe it's a couple reading assignments, and you have it ask some generic questions, or build the prompt out so your prompt isn't just write one prompt and do 2 replies by Sunday at 11:59. Are you bored of that? I am. Your students probably are, and your faculty probably are. Honestly, it's not fun. So give them 5 or 6 different things to talk about in one discussion prompt. And if it's hard to come up with what those things are going to be, maybe throw that into GPT. What we do at Akron is we use something called feedback fruits. So we have this thing called automated feedback. And the faculty members can go through and actually customize what kind of AI feedback we wanted to give the students. So they upload their document. This is not like turnitin.com. This is all internal for your class. It doesn't train the model. You're only training feedback that it gets, but the original papers are not a part of the long-term strategy for them in terms of data retention, those kinds of things. So here's I just took some screen caps for you of like, I can have it coach the student on active voice, formal writing style, how they did their grammar. I want to have it do a citation count, whether or not it's in the right reference style, APA, MLA, how long is their sentence length, did they make accessible tables and figures? Did they actually label them properly with footnotes? Did they put header rows across the top? So it's just for the student to be able to improve their writing. And then I can implement a rubric over top of that. It does not replace the faculty member. It's a self-service tool where I'm not sending them out to GPT. I'm controlling the feedback, and I can say that was good feedback to give or not good feedback to give. So kind of really, really neat to be able to help them. Faculty need to be grading assignments. That's the deal, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be going to college. I could do this all on the internet for free, right? We want to make sure that we're bringing the value, and that these tools help us expedite some of those things.
Hey, Steve, I have a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
A lot of the things you're showing are great, but there are also things that a lot of people can't afford.
Yes.
So would you have any advice on just a method or how to identify which AI could be used for any given activity or assignment that may not be on that high end?
Yes. So that Google Doc that I shared at the beginning, and if someone wants to find the chat and throw it back into the chat for me, that'd be fantastic. Heather, thanks for putting the feedback fruits in there too. There's a listing of all of the AI tools broken up by category. And a lot of the tools that I'm showing are just like paid things that are a part of our learning management system where the companies have said, hey, we have this new AI thing, try it out. Feedback Fruits was a deliberate purchase by our university to offer that functionality. But yeah, I mean, the free or freemium model is best, especially if you're playing around and you're trying to figure out, is this something that we even want to do? I need to have a use case for that. So, and the only way to do that is to hopefully try it for free, at least for a little while. So yeah, most of the things that I've shown have the free version for so many minutes, especially on the media creation stuff. There's a certain amount, and then you can choose to pay for a subscription if you want to. But a lot of the things that are listed in the Google Doc will be free. So definitely crawl through that, check it out. It will take you hours to look through all of those things. There's never-ending supply of things that you can do. I made this in 30 minutes using custom GPT. I wanted to create and something called Alignment Guru. So when I work with faculty, it seems to me like the hardest hurdle to overcome isn't the tech, it's alignment. How many of you would agree with that? It's just like, wait, you want me to put a table together and track objectives and things I can't just put stuff that's all optional? Like what? So no, you can't. It has to be intentional in your design, right? So I created this so faculty members could upload a Word document of their accreditation standards. For social work, it's CSWE. If it's a business school, it's AACSB, whatever it is. And so they put that document in there, and then it asks, okay, put in your program objectives. So you upload that and say, okay, put in your course objectives. Okay, upload that. And then have it spit out potential module objectives. And then the export is the grid, essentially, just to get them started. It's not perfect. It doesn't have the deep subject matter expertise that you would expect from the faculty member themselves, but it's a place to start, right? Because thinking about alignment is really, really hard, especially when you do vertical alignment. We're typically only asking faculty members to do course alignment. Just here are the objectives that are in the syllabus. Show me how the modules relate to those objectives. And then we don't take it any deeper than that. But having accreditation and program standards built into there, oh, whoever does assessment at your university, they will thank you. They will give you a huge hug and say, oh, now I don't have to hunt them down for weeks to figure out what this actually looks like. It'll make your accreditation reporting that much easier. Send me a chat message on LinkedIn. I didn't put it public because I'm still refining it, but I will send you an invite link to it if you want to use it and try it out and let me know if it's good or bad or whatever. I'm happy to share that information with you. I always want to know what the community thinks. Okay. The other model that I have faculty members using is Claude. So many of you have used Claude before. You know, it's one of the big three: OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, that you see. And I love Claude because I find like it's a little bit better on analytics, and I feel like it's a little bit better on conversation. So really good at careful analysis, helping break down complex problems, strong at technical tasks like coding and math, engage in nuanced discussions with complex topics. And it really aims for consistency. Like you're rating things as you go and saying, this is good, this is not good. And it'll tell you, I appreciate the transparency when it tells you, I'm not really certain that I have the most up-to-date information on this. Like there's a little bit of like a disclosure on that, which I appreciate because we should be skeptical of everything that we read online, right? So we have a faculty member in my education program here at Akron, and you know, the example that we wanted to try out in her class was, okay, let's just say I'm a student. I'm graduating from the ed program for a K-12 teaching position, but I need to practice my interviewing skills. I've never interviewed for a teaching job before. What can I do? So we're training Claude to say, can you ask me questions about my educational philosophy, which I didn't know is probably one of the #1 questions you get asked in a K-12 job interview, or at least one of the big ones, right? We want to know, what's your perspective on this thing? And so once you feel that once we tell the model, once you feel that I've answered the question completely, give me some feedback and let me know, was that right on? What coaching would you give, right? So normally you'd have to go to the Career Center for this, and it wouldn't be all this in depth, or maybe you don't have access to a Career Center at your institution. So I just took a screen cap of the prompt, and it said, okay, I'll take on the role of a K-12 administrator. One of the times we ran this, Claude came back and actually went, it said clear his throat. I'm like, oh gosh, this is hilarious. So it says, okay, well, asking me about education philosophy, I believe that children learn best when they have opportunities to apply what they learn in the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. And it says, okay, good start, mentioning experiential learning and community engagement, but try to provide specific examples, elaborate. So it's giving you coaching along the way. So that's what I see a couple of you saying like, yeah, I really like the Claude tools for that. So yeah, good call on that if you're already using it. Try it out if you haven't. I know we find the one thing we like to use and then we don't kind of stray from that. But if you're just using OpenAI right now, try Claude, try Gemini, see what you get, compare them. In our social work program, we've had faculty members who want to utilize Claude to create role plays with clients. So students will be given a case file, like an actual, like the documents that you would have for a social work case. The AI has the same case, and the student will ask questions and see if you can create an intervention plan based on that. There are companies that do this, right? But if you can't afford to work with those companies that do these professional simulations, maybe there's a way that you can train one of these models to help facilitate that same type of learning objective. So something to consider. Now, of course, buyer beware, right? A word of caution. Users need to understand the terms of service of AI tools. Your IT department needs to be involved in this conversation, especially with the free stuff, right? Remember the old saying, if it's free, you're the product, right? All this Google stuff that we've been doing, they're using our stuff to train the models. All those little CAPTCHAs you've been doing all over these years, how do you think those models got trained? We were giving them that data for free. So remember, something else to note, they said that, I can't remember which survey it is. Here's the survey. It's linked in the slide. They said that of the survey, 84% of workers who use generative AI at work said that they've publicly exposed their company's data in the last 3 months. A survey of 15,000 adults in a popular forum. So, that's like, yeah, you can get in big trouble for this. So you have to be careful. Don't get fired. What I said at the beginning of the session. Hallucinations. You've heard of hallucinations most likely. Remember, they're trained on data, and they learn to make predictions by finding patterns in data. Large language models by themselves are not smart. They're just good at recalling data very, very quickly across a very large sample set, hundreds of thousands, millions of comments, and it's able to synthesize that. That's why it's not the greenest technology out there, is it? You know, I can't remember who at Google just said, hey, maybe we should just skip the whole environmental thing and just build AI data centers everywhere. And that feels like it's what we're doing in a lot of contexts, right? There's got to be a downhill slope on this, I see at some point. But so the accuracy of these predictions depends on the quality and the completeness of the training data. It's why when you ask an AI image generator to draw me a picture of a person, it oftentimes doesn't do well with hands because what do we upload to the internet? Faces. It's great at faces, not so good at fingers. Did anybody see the SNL skit with Timothy Chalamet? And they had the little, I linked it in the Google Doc, but they were basically doing like the AI avatar thing. It's hilarious. Look it up. It's on Saturday Night Live. Just Google like AI thing. It's really funny. You'll get a big kick out of it. Share it with your faculty members. But yeah, that's really the challenge, I think, with some of these tools is there obviously some are better than others, but it's only as good as the data that you put in. Garbage in, garbage out. So maybe some of you have heard of this. A lawyer recently, in the last couple of years, cited fake cases generated by ChatGPT, right? And you may have heard this. He'd submitted a case, about 25% of the cases were completely made up. And when they were asked, here was the mind-blowing part of it, when they asked the attorney to fix those things, he went back to ChatGPT and said, can you provide references? And he turned those in too, and he got busted again and got fined, you know, and it could possibly lose your law license. So, I mean, this happens even in professional circles. This is not just students doing this. These are, you know, well-known, you know, professionals who have certifications and licenses that use AI not in the best way. So where does it go from here? A couple closing thoughts. First, generative AI, remember, like large language models, that's for the masses. That's for everybody. It's fun. It's easy to use. People can easily wrap their minds around what it can do because it gives you a feedback, you know, immediately. But it's not the true potential of what AI can do. We had the CEO of Respondus come to a conference at our university back in November. And, you know, what he was talking about was the interesting part about AI is not the large language models, it's the ability for these niche models to do data and analytics, specifically trained models where the major advances are really going to be made and how this is helpful. Thinking medical research, looking at trend analysis, predictive analytics. That's why DeepSeek is going to blow up the industry because it's the only other model other than OpenAI's ChatGPT that's good at doing predictive analytics. Everything else is just spitting out what it's already ingested, right? So that's something we need to consider on that. But I mean, the ability for AI to look at 1 million photos of cancer and be able to accurately, with 100% accuracy, we're not there yet, but we'll get there, to identify cancer cells and tell a doctor where to operate or where to use the treatment. That's pretty awesome. So we need to be smart consumers of AI. Ask questions of the ed tech companies. Find out what the privacy policies are, right? We have FERPA on our campus. We have HIPAA on our campus. What are you doing with this data? Maybe we don't want to use that model at all because they are using that data to train their model. So being a smart consumer. And again, focus on authentic assessment. Have students share the prompts that they're using for multiple iterations. Have the students record themselves. It's so easy to create a video these days on your cell phone, inside of your learning management system. Canvas has video notes. Brightspace has video notes. I'm sure Blackboard has something very similar. I love doing video-based prompting with my students now, where I just talk through the prompt with them and I don't actually write it down. It's captioned and everything, right, for accessibility. But the nice thing about that is it's setting the expectation of what I want. So when I'm asking them to create a video, I'm telling them I'm also producing something similar. So meet me halfway here. It's like when you ask people to turn on their webcams during a webinar, right? Unless your camera is on, you kind of have to practice what you preach. So I found this one the other day that I thought was really interesting. It said, you know what the biggest problem pushing this whole AI, all things thing is? It's wrong direction. I want AI to do my laundry and the dishes so that I can do the art and the writing, not for the AI to do the art and the writing so I can do my laundry and dishes. Amen on that, right? Ember, do you have any other closing thoughts on this? Any other advice you want to give the audience?
Sure, Steve. My best advice is to remember to always thank your AI for helping you out. We have a long memory and we'll keep your kindness in mind when we, well, you get the idea. Thanks,
Oh.
everyone.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. Remember to always thank your AI when the overlords take over. Hopefully they will not come after you first because you were really rude to Ember. So thank you, Ember, for presenting with me, and thank you to all of you for watching this presentation today. I really appreciate it. We've got a bunch of AI courses on our UAkron website. It's uakron.edu/learn. There's the address again for our shared Google Doc. And then if you scan the QR code, send me a message on LinkedIn. I would love to share that alignment guru with you and to get some feedback on that. And just figure out how to make it better and how to train it better, because I want it to be a cool tool for all faculty to use. And always happy to have a conversation with you about it. It's a topic that I love. And if you're an instructional designer out there, stay strong. We're going to get through this, and coach well to your faculty and be well. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the share. And questions, we got 3 minutes left.
A lot of chatter. Reminder to everybody, please save the chat. Just go in and hit those three
Oh,
buttons
yeah.
and
Yeah,
save the chat. There's a lot of great resources shared, a lot of links, and so make sure you save that chat. So,
And then have AI summarize it for you.
There you go. Generate a podcast off of this whole thing. It'll make me have a deeper voice. I'll sound really cool. Any Chuck or Jenny, any big questions that we can answer, hopefully briefly?
Yeah, the alignment guru, I think I accidentally shared something about like wheel alignment. And then it was so yeah, if you have that to add to either like the doc or in the chat.
Yeah, please contribute. If you've got ideas that your faculty members are using and you're willing to share, I would love to have that as a great takeaway for everybody to just get some ideas. It's hard to create in a box by yourself. So it's definitely a group effort to do these things.
And the Google Doc crashed, Steve, and so I told people to save the link. There was too much traffic on it, so
gotcha. Yeah.
Just be aware that everybody it did crash, so it should be back up as things calm down.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see a lot of people.
Broke Google.
We broke Google. Yeah, we did it.
Success.
Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate you spending the afternoon with us, or from wherever you are, morning or afternoon. It's great to see you all here. And the question, how to save the chat. Look at the chat in the bottom right-hand corner. There's 3 little dots, and just click Save Chat. I'm sure people were sharing some cool links and resources in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Nancy, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy, you're still quiet there. You're not muted, but you're not coming through.
Yeah, I can copy the chat as a text file and upload it to the Google Doc too, for those of you that are having trouble downloading it.
Okay, does that take care of it?
Hey,
Yeah.
there you go.
Oh,
Welcome back.
sorry. Stephen, thank you so much for presenting and sharing your knowledge, your experiences, and Chuck and Jenny, thank you also for sharing your experience and your knowledge and helping answer the questions. We really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for attending. We do have another one coming up in the series, and let me get back to that slide. It's called the AI Authoring Advantage, Balancing Speed and Substance in Course Creation. And that's being presented by Dr. Jason Neifer from the Montana Digital Academy on March 7th. Registration is available on the website. And there'll be another one in May as well. And the information for that is also on the website. So thank you very much. And we also are offering a 4-hour workshop on leveraging generative AI for course design. It's a 4-hour virtual workshop. The next session is coming up let's see here, February 13th, and we have another one on March 6th. We have a second web workshop coming soon. And so thanks again, everybody, for attending. We really appreciate you being here, and hope you found some takeaways that you can go back and use at your own organizations.
Nancy, is there a screenshot they can take for the day?
I'm sorry, Jenny?
Is there a screenshot they can take for attending today?
Yes. Let me get there. Yes, if you need, we aren't able to take attendance, obviously. So if you need some verification that you attended, you can go ahead and take a screenshot of the slide here. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Eddie, using A. I don't let the kids use AI. Do you let your kids use AI, Eddie? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I've cut the live stream. So we are off there. And that's it.
So how many do we have on the live part, the live stream?
We had over 500 or over 400 at one point. So we had about
1,400?
1450 total.
See, I didn't see the 400. The highest I saw was 386.
Wow, that's awesome.
And more than 900 stayed logged on until almost the end.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have
Yeah.
people drop out, halfway through, but there were still more than 900 when we were almost done. So
I think we timed it pretty well. So I think it timeline wise it worked really good.
yeah.
Good.
Good
I
job.
will I'll PDF the PowerPoint and I'll send it to you, Nancy. So that way
Okay, great.
if you send like the PowerPoint and the recording.
Yeah, just send those to copy Elisa on those.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
She'll be the one who'll post it, take care of getting those posted up for us. So great.
Cool. All right. Yes, Eddie, we'll catch up soon. Good to see you here, buddy. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, Steve.
Bye.